Hello, everyone. Today we have a special guest with us. This is attorney Yvette Chevalier, who is running for municipal court judge. I believe it's Department 1. Yvette has, well, she'll describe her background, but one of the things that she said she wants to get your thoughts on how judges should treat people that are in court. So that's kind of an interesting turn. And we should go till about 10 o'clock and then we'll wrap it up. So we'll start and be just really fast. Bill, I've been here this long, here's where I live. And we'll just go really fast. Try to do it within 5 minutes just so she gets a sense of how long you've been here and where you're staying now. Okay, so you've been introduced.
I have.
I'm going to turn it over to you. But
good morning.
Hold on.
I'm Yvette Chevalier, and I'm a candidate for judicial office here at Municipal Court Department 1, City of Las Vegas. Not sure if you guys knew there was an election coming up, but that's not the only reason I'm here. I actually have over 20 years of experience in vocational education, adult education, high school education. I worked as a high school counselor for 8 years. I worked at the Southern Nevada Adult Mental Health Services intensive case management program through State Mental Health at Ross and Neal Psychiatric Hospital for probably 2 years. I worked for Child Protection Services with the Department of Family Services for 3 years in management there with all the kids in foster care, doing the licensing. And then I've administered a variety of social service programs as a director for a couple of Indian tribes up in northern Nevada, and also here the Moab Paiutes. So I've been somebody who works at helping people pretty much all of my life. As far as my own background goes, I was born in Puerto Rico and raised in New York City. Just to give you an idea, I'm pretty fair-skinned, but I was the only fair-skinned person in my school because I grew up with African Americans and Hispanic children who tend to be a little bit darker than my color, but I am Puerto Rican. I was born in Puerto Rico. So my background is, Spanish Harlem and the Bronx in New York City. I grew up there in the 1960s. And I don't know if any of you ever heard of a little character named Pippi Longstocking, little girl with braids and, that little girl. I was kind of like a little Pippi Longstocking because I was fearless, traveling New York in buses and trains and doing this, that, and the other, going to the beach and, doing all the stuff that naughty kids do, cutting school and going to the beach and going to Central Park and whatever. I did all that kind of stuff in New York City. So adventurous. Just so that you know, I am running for judge, and I want you to understand that myself, I can't stand here for an hour and tell you my whole life story, but I myself, when I was 17 years old, had an incident with law enforcement. And that incident carried forward with me even up until today. It's not a felony, it was a misdemeanor, but because I didn't understand the court system and my mother didn't either, because I was 17, I ended up pleading guilty and having a charge on my record where I really didn't have to plead guilty had I known that I should take a lawyer to court or I should plead not guilty and go to trial and make them prove their case. But because they made it sound so easy, well, just take a plea and you won't have to go to jail. And you just pay a $50 fine and, bring your mother to court. So I did. And I was just a kid. I barely turned 17 because my birthday's in May. This happened in June. So I was 1 month into my 17th year of life. I get, caught shoplifting. I had a marijuana cigarette in my cigarette case. And that changed my life for many, many years. So I want you to know that I'm not holier than thou in terms of, why some of you may be here and what has happened in your life. But what did happen to me is that I really worked hard to not have that happen again. So I don't have a long criminal history. I learned, I was really not happy because in New York in those days, what they did is they actually arrested me. They chained me by the arm or something, as I recall, to like a bench. And they left me there like 12 hours. And I was so scared. This was in Garden City, Long Island. You know, they sat you down and then, all right, well, you can't, they just chain you to the arm. And I'm sitting there for hours and hours and hours, crying. And I'm like, I don't want to be in jail again. So it did kind of scare me straight. And I mean, that was me. It worked for me, for somebody to constrain me. And I'm like, I don't want this. I don't like the inside of a jail. So I'll be doing whatever I can not to come back. And it did help me. But at the same time, I think that if I understood the court better, I wouldn't have pled the way I did. And I wouldn't have had that record all my life that I had to continuously tell people about. So I lived that stigma as well. I know how to seal my records, but I haven't done it because I didn't want to. I don't want people to think I did something worse because I was just a kid. But I still have to explain it. And it's not fun at this age now, 40-something years later, you know, if I try to go and get a job or get my bar license or get, you know, some sort of a job that requires a background check, that they're asking me, hey, why'd you do this? I'm like, well, gee, at that time, I was 17, I was hungry, I took grapes and tampons and a greeting card or something. It's not like I was stealing diamonds, but I did do that, and it is wrong. And honestly, I didn't know that taking something from somebody else was a crime per se. I was like surviving. So I was like, well, I'm gonna take what I need because I don't have money, a job, and no parents to give it to me. So, you know, I've been on my own since I'm 13 years old. 13, that's young to be without parents. So not a boohoo story, but only so you know that I come from, you know, a very diverse background. Now, why do I want to be a judge? You know, to me, I worked really hard to be a lawyer, but being a judge puts you in a position where you can really help people. Yes, I get paid a salary. I need money too. But it's not like being a lawyer where, you know, I'm saying, okay, ma'am, if you want me to help you, give me $1,500. And if you want me to help you, give me $2,500. And if you want me to help you, give me $5,000. I'd rather use my law to just be able to work with people because that's what I've been doing all my life anyway. It kind of, people always make circles. You start here, you go this way, and then you know, try to come back to what you're comfortable with. I'm comfortable helping people. Now, as a judge, you know, what can I do? I can't like say, well, don't worry about it. Don't do it again. Goodbye. I have to uphold the law. That's what I'm getting paid for. So I can't say to you, oh, if you come in my courtroom, you're not going to get in trouble or you're not going to get convicted. That's not the case. But if you come in my courtroom, maybe I can help you do something different for the next time. I may still have to find you guilty if you did what you did, but maybe I can work with you to do something like you all are doing right now. Like you all are here. So I applaud you. You're taking a step to do something to better yourself so that you can get back out there and be stronger and have some skills that you're going to need to survive in this high-tech world that we're in, right? You're here, and I'm very, you know, congratulations for doing this because you could be out on the street, but you're here. And that's really impressive. You know, you're trying. And once you get this thing down, you're going to be all the better for it because you can't survive this society anymore without having these basic computer skills. Not every job has a computer, nearly every job, not all, but nearly every job. So, but I believe that in as a judge, there's a lot of things that one can do besides just saying, pay me $500 for doing whatever you did, because that only makes it harder. Because if you were, you know, if you had the money, you probably wouldn't be doing what you were doing to begin with. So just finding people is not enough. You got to find them if that's what the law requires, but then help them find a way to make that money. So if I fine you and I know you don't have it, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna fine you, but if you go to this place, they will pay you $10 an hour, and in 3 months, you're gonna have that money to pay it. You know, you keep half and then save half for the court, and then at the end of this much time, you're done. You paid your fine. That's one thing I plan to do. Now, remember, those courts move fast, right? It's not like I have an hour to talk to you. I got like 3 minutes. So I have to be somebody who knows people to be able to come up with a solution fast, right? Because you got to say, okay, I think this lady might need, I got to ask you, what do you need? Why are you doing what you're doing? And you tell me, and then I say, okay, I think this might work for you. You're going to pay this fine, but this is how you're going to get the money to do it. Not just go pay it and come out of where? You know, where are you going to go? Go rob somebody to pay me the fine, right? So I got to help you find a way to make that money to pay the fine. If I have to uphold the law, because I can't treat you different than you and you and you and you, I need to treat everybody the same. And so that's how I would approach being a judge. Also, for me, people that are first offenders, especially, I'm not saying just young kids, but people that have somehow, you know, gotten themselves in a jam, but they have a clean history prior to this, I believe people like that deserve an extra chance to get rid of that charge. Mm-hmm. I don't think people should have to spend, you know, $2,000 sealing their record when, you know, they've gone 3 years without any problems. I believe if I can, I'm not sure how this would work out. I want that charge dismissed or reduced to a parking ticket or something after 3 years of good stay out of my court kind of thing. So if you don't have any charges for 3 years, you know what, that whatever petty larceny charge goes to nothing, just a citation. Because that way you don't have to tell people the rest of your life you had a mistake. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that's fair because you're earning it. It's not like I'm giving it to you. Oh, don't worry about it. It'll fall off your record. You got to come back and see me and say, Judge, it's been this much time. I didn't have any trouble. And now, you know, I want this taken off my record. I believe there's a way to do that within the constraints of the law, of the, you know, the statutory constraints, that there is a way to do that if you set it up properly. The other thing I would do is, I'm a night bird. I'm not a morning person. So if I were a judge at City of Las Vegas, I would open up, if the council approves, obviously. I got no power to do nothing without my bosses approving something. I would open up at least one night court a week. Why? Because let's say you get a job at, you know, El Cortez as a porter, and you're brand new, you're part-time, or you're on call, or you're just starting out. You cannot miss work within so many days of taking on a job. Because if you miss work, they won't want you there. They won't give you a permanent schedule. They won't give you full-time. So if you have to miss work to go to court to pay me because you were trespassing, or because you were, you know, driving without your registration on your car, or whatever the case may be, it doesn't work. So why in a 24-hour town, 7 days a week, where people work, you know, 3 shifts going on a day, 7 days a week, why can't the services kind of offer a time where people that work those swing shifts can come to court at night, or, you know, or the people that work days can come in the evening, so they're not missing their work? Because I know I worked at a hotel in employee relations, and we were the ones that fired people when they did something wrong, and attendance was a huge issue. Huge issue. You know, if you take on a job, you get hired for housekeeping, and you're just starting out, and somehow you get a ticket and you got to go to court because you don't have the money to just mail in your payment, that could hurt your job. So attendance is huge when you start these jobs. If you miss work, you know what, they don't want you there. So it's really important that, you know, the courts kind of offer something where people that have that issue can come in and take care of their business without missing work necessarily. I don't know if they would support me, but I think that would be important. Now, let me give you a chance to ask me a few questions. And then I also want to bring up someone who came with me from the college that I teach at, because I'm a lawyer, but I also teach at a college, just to give you some information about what we offer there. So that if you finish your studies here and you still want to continue to get an education, maybe you can check into our programs. What do you think? Any of you who might want to say something is important. If you were going to vote for me, what would you want to know that I am going to do for you? Yes, sir.
The first question that comes to mind, yeah, we see here in Las Vegas that some of these minor infractions you're being stopped for as an excuse to just kind of check into who you are and then end up in in front of a judge. Those minor distractions, those minor incidences that cause you to be in front of a judge. How do you view those things? Things like trespassing, being in front of a store for too long while you're waiting for a bus, or waiting at a bus stop. They end up being stopped for trespassing in front of judges. Things like that. How would something like that? How do you look at something like that?
Well, I think it's important for the judge to read the police report. If the police report is not sufficient, then I think that it's a waste of taxpayers' money to have somebody in court for those kind of matters. And it's also a waste of that officer's time when he could be saving somebody from a crime. So it depends on the report why that police officer decided to bring somebody into, court, why they decided to cite you. Don't think I don't realize there's this whole profiling going on out there too. I'm aware of that. So that's why I'm saying I'd have to read and see what that officer said. And there's not a problem with a judge, scolding an officer either. Hey, you know what? Don't bring this kind of stuff in my court. I'm very busy. If you bring somebody in my court, you make sure you properly write your report so I know what they did wrong. I mean, that's how I would handle it. So less people would want to do that if they're going to and they got to spend their time there instead of being out on the field. So I think it depends on what they wrote. Yes, sir, right here, and then you.
Earlier you spoke about what you're going to do when people come into your court, how you're going to try and reduce sentences and let them off for good behavior. But what I'd like to know is, as a judge, what can you do in terms of like crime prevention? Do you have any plans in that regard?
Well, I think that judges work like 48, 50 hours a week minimum too. So realistically, I, in my own personal life, work with like last night, I went to a basketball game for the guys from Northwest Career College at Tarkanian Rec Center. I didn't have to go, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to go watch them. If people have something to do, if kids have something to do, besides just standing around loitering or being, playing, if they have something to do, somewhere to go, they are less likely to commit crimes. And so I would support any kind of, legitimate program that provides people, adults, young adults, kids, even seniors, with places to go and people to see. I mean, if we're busy, we're not busy committing crimes. We got to stay busy. And whatever that busyness is, it has to be helping us, whether it's spiritually, whether it's financially, educationally. There's all kinds of options out there for people. And I think, I would ask you, if you're getting in trouble every other month, what are you doing with your time? I would need to find out, in preventing crimes, you want to find out what people need. Because I can't assume that I know what this lady needs until I ask her, ma'am, you just brought into my court for shoplifting. What is the problem? And then she's going to tell me, well, I got 4 kids, no job, no food, da, 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 da. And then I'm going to say, you know what? You need to go to this agency, get help, and then come back and let me know you went there and show me some proof you went there and work with it that way, but not just assume that you and she have the same issues going on. You may have shoplifted because you're a kleptomaniac and you need to go to counseling because you got a streak in you that's got larceny in your heart. She may have done it to feed her kids. I can't assume you two did it for the same reason. And that is why a judge who understands people like I do, because I've come from many years of counseling and talking, is good, because you're treating everybody equally, but you're providing a solution real quick, because I don't have all day there. There's thousands of people coming in to go ahead and give you a solution that might be a little bit better for you and different for you and different for you. So you got to have a lot of options available. And luckily, I've lived here 35 years, so I pretty much know a majority of what is out there in terms of schools and services and where to get health care, where to get dental care, things like that. Now, that's not to say sometimes judges say, oh, go to this program. And then you go and there's a waiting list, or you go and they don't accept you, or you go and they're closed. That happens. So judges have to communicate. If I sent you here to the Larson Training Center and they turn you away, I didn't do you any good. Right? I hurt you because now you got rejected again and you got turned away, and our solution is going to be a failure. So anybody else?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm glad you're aware of the profiling that goes on, because Las Vegas is different from most cities, especially downtown. It's not a black-white issue. We're profiled down here just from being downtowners. Across Fremont, you get in trouble from the police, and and there's a lot of tickets being written for jaywalking, just because you happen to be walking down the street and they stop you and you don't have no dope on you or this, that. So I'll fix you. I'll write you a jaywalking ticket. Okay, that ticket's $200. Okay, so of course it's not going to get paid. I don't have $200. But then this is where the problem arises. You go to the courthouse and you go in there on a Wednesday or Tuesday. There's no court on Friday. So you sit in there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Finally, you go to court Monday. You just sat 6 days on a jaywalking ticket. And then you go up to the judge, and the judge says, time served. Well, actually, you owe me some money, Your Honor, because it's $75 a day to sit. That's what they pay you to sit in jail. But,
Is that what it costs to sit in jail?
That's what they pay you, $75 a day.
Off the fine.
Municipal.
Off the fine.
Off the fine, yeah.
Has the judge ever given you a check?
He never wrote me one. I didn't ever ask him one because I didn't want to put him out of luck. It was on some way out the door. But I just think they're going a little overboard on certain things, because I've seen where tourists do things, and there was a guy that was not a tourist, and he was with the group of tourists that was crossing the street, and the light had turned red. And he let all the tourists go, and he pulled the other guy aside, wrote him a ticket. Matter of fact, he ended up taking him to jail. But, there's that, come on, man, we can't afford $200 because we don't have a light on our bicycle or something,
I think a lot of cities struggle with how to manage, people that are inner city or that are homeless. I went on a business trip once to Hawaii, and every morning when I walked, all the homeless people had a park they would sleep in, and on the beach as well. And then by a certain time, they would get up and move and then come back at night. I mean, if I'm going to be homeless, that's the place where I'd want to be, on the beach, go take a nice swim, but I understand. I guess every circumstance, depends on what made that officer do that. I don't think that just harassing people is going to solve the problem, because you got to be somewhere. So, I think that getting involved with the programs that offer people alternatives for, places to stay and is fair. But I also think you have just as much right as I have to walk the street. So I don't think that because you're homeless, or I'm not saying you are, but if you're homeless and I'm not, that I have a right to walk across that street and you don't. That is profiling. So I'm not sure what I could do about it, because I'd be a new judge. I'd be just getting a groove going on. But in the future, I would have more to say about it. As a new judge, I'd have to be pretty quiet and just learn my job. So yes, sir.
Okay, so just as a point of reference, because you asked the question, the cost to house somebody at CCD is $135.
Oh, not 75.
That's what they're saying they get credit for.
Oh, the credit.
The county pays Metro $135 per inmate per night. Last year, it was $141. With 4,000 inmates, That's $4 million a week. So the county is paying $200 million a year to keep people in prison. That's why we are not prison jail. That's why we're working with these specialty courts, is people like Judge Marshall says, this is just, the county has a better use of the $200 million.
Right, if you could take that money and use it to renovate these motels and use it as a, a daily living type of a voucher system or some sort of a funding mechanism that is less than that, cut it in a third maybe for operating these places. So people have, even if it's not individual rooms because, they may have to share, but that there's places to stay.
That's what we're working
A lot of them, a lot of
Marshall.
places, that'd be great.
We're working with Judge Marshall on that, where she wants to sentence people to school. Tony Shea has given us the green light that we can convert some of these motels that we have and for food, clothing, shelter, hygiene, clothes washing, and tuition, we could do that for $60 a day.
What about transportation?
Well, if they walk, right?
Us to here.
Got it.
From there to here.
Yeah,
Perfect.
It's 4 blocks.
Zero cost.
that's awesome.
That's
Yeah, I
what
would
Judge Marshall
definitely support that. And I believe that at least at the municipal court level, when people are in that court, they're not hardcore criminals.
Mm.
It's not, they're not a risk to the public per se. They're just people that need help. So,
And part of it is the people who qualify for house arrest, but they don't have a house connection that qualifies, so they don't let them out of jail for house arrest because they don't have a place that's qualified. So this would be one of these hotels.
supervised, like a Casa Grande type setting or.
Well, no, it would be like they're on house arrest.
Yeah.
They have an ankle bracelet, but they have a place that qualifies because it's not in a drug area, or there's not other people living there who also probation, parole, or whatever.
Well, I mean, for somebody to spend 7 days in jail or 6 for a jaywalking, that is outrageous. And the expense to the taxpayers is just ridiculous. Because if it costs $130, and you just spent, what is that, like almost $1,000, much better served to use that $1,000 to help this person.
Let me clarify one thing. That's on the municipal level. Now,
Right.
on the county level, it's a whole different thing. It's a walkthrough. It's a 12-hour walkthrough. You go in, you go out. Municipal court or municipal jail on Stewart and Mojave is a whole different ball game. There, once you go in, you don't know when you're getting out.
I've been there. I know
Yeah.
that facility.
Yeah.
So, okay, are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
I was listening to my name's Dominic, and I live at Casa Grande currently. I was listening to what you were saying about how you have a lot of history of helping people, and as an attorney, I'm assuming that's what you would do, is defend people from the situation you're about to become as a judge. And how do you see yourself being able to, you said you would listen to people's situation and help them and send them in the right direction. But what I've noticed is that judges, after a certain amount of time in office or as a judge, they become very, they don't care, they don't listen, they're not very consistent, and it's a case by case. Say if you're having a bad day as a judge, you'll send somebody to jail, when the next day, if they caught you on the right day, you would be more helping. So you say you're very helping. I guess my question is how long, and do you feel like you always be able to help or listen to somebody's situation rather than just slam them with the book out?
Well, you know what? I'm a human being like all of you are. So I'm not saying that some days I may not have, my PMS going or whatever. Okay, I'm human. However, because I experienced somebody not giving me justice as a 17-year-old and that making my life a whole different ball game. Not that it was bad, but it was hard. It was stigma. It was embarrassing. It was tough to always be explaining this thing all and on track. It's like carrying a rock your whole life. I want to be a teacher, but I got this. I want to be a counselor, but I got this. I want to be a lawyer, but I got this rock tied to my leg. Because I lived that, and I've lived it now a long time, I think I will always own that concept. Like, wait, don't just get away, here's your misdemeanor, you're convicted, come back in a year. No, you know why? Because they did that to me. I didn't know what was going on, and it was wrong. I needed to have a lawyer with me. I needed to know that I could plead not guilty. You know, I needed to be treated like a juvenile. I had just 1 month turned 17. I was treated like an adult for a little nothing crime, first offense. You know, I was in college. So I didn't know. I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll sign the no contendere, you know, whatever, which is just like a guilty plea. You know, I wasn't even guilty, but it was a nolo contendere. Well, that thing followed me for 40 years, you know? So I will say that even though I may lose my patience with somebody who keeps coming in and in and in. I'm like, look, I've given you every opportunity. You know, I'm not saying I'm like Bill Clinton, 3 strikes and you're out, but I'm kind of like Bill Clinton. You know, if you come in and then you relapse, I'm like, look, it's going to get a little tougher. And then you come in and then you relapse. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm done trying to help you. You're going to get tough love now. So I guess that's how I would handle it. I'm not saying necessarily 3. It just depends, because let's say she came in 3 times, but something happened, God forbid, her child died, or, you know, she got evicted. I'm going to listen to that as, why are you here again? Oh, my baby died. Well, you know, I'm not going to be a jerk, but I'm not saying somebody takes advantage of me that I can't be hardcore. I can be. I'm going to be tough too. But at the same time, I'm going to be, you know, try to work with people, because my job is not to make your life worse. It's to make it better. Or at least it's to help you change your behavior. I can't run your lives. I could barely run my own life. So my job is to help you change your behavior. So anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Manuel Jackson, and I'm from Salvation Army. And 2 questions. These are kind of out of curiosity for myself. And the first one, you could just answer yes or no. And then the second one, if you could kind of give a little bit of explanation.
Okay.
Being an attorney, excuse me. 1 second. Excuse me. Being an attorney, one has to, how should we say, read a lot of books, correct?
Yes.
A lot of law books, right?
Yes.
Have you ever read a book titled Utopia?
No.
Okay, that's good. Now, my second question is really now about law. For instance, actual situation. Let's say I walked out of here and went into Fremont and killed 12 people. And 20 people saw me do it. And it was quite obvious that I did it. Why does it take 12 to 15 years for me to be on death row before you actually sentence me to death? Why doesn't it, like you just said that, like when people come before court, like you only have 3 minutes to ascertain their situation and get them out the door. Why does the legal system itself take like so long for it to take function? Particularly like in capital punishment cases where, you know, people who are actually guilty, why do they stay on death row for 10 years? Why wouldn't you just say, we saw you, you did it, you're done?
Well, I've worked both sides. Prosecution, I was an assistant prosecutor for an Indian tribe, and I've worked defense as well. So I kind of know both sides. One of the reasons is because people have a lot of rights based on the US Constitution. And so when they get an attorney, the attorney will start filing motions and motions and motions and motions and motions and motions. And those motions will continuously delay the ultimate, you know, death penalty decision.
But I just laid out the facts. I did it. It's quite obvious. I was videotaped. All of these people in here saw it.
Well, they have to determine.
Why do we need to go through all of that?
Because of the cruel and unusual punishment, 8th Amendment. Because you have rights, and if, for example, you are mentally ill, they do. I'm not justifying either way, but because I'm municipal court, I'm only going to be doing misdemeanors. I won't be touching those. But the issue is that if you had some mental infirmity at the time you committed that, you will not be put to death. You know, so that's the deal there. It's cruel and unusual punishment to put somebody to death if they have a mental defect that doesn't allow them to know the nature of what they were doing. So that's the only thing I can say. And you know what? That's pretty much what goes on in those death penalty cases. Anybody else? Yes.
I have one, so we were talking to the city councilwoman from North Las Vegas, and for her to win her seat, she needs just 3,000 votes, and she feels that's enough to win. We know that just a few thousand, and you can be elected mayor. How many votes do you think you're gonna need to win your race?
I'll tell you, this is how it works. My opponent got about, don't quote me on this because my memory's a little shot today. I've been staying up late. But this is about what she got. And then there were 2 other people in her last run that got together about this. So she won by, basically less than 2,000 votes. That's her margin was 2,000 votes more than these other people here. So this is a small election. It's a primary election. Any of you who can vote, please do. Or let your friends know, please vote Chevalier. Like Maurice, no relation. But the thing is this. If I got new voters out there, I could come up with this. So it could be a good, but the problem is we only have like 50 days, which is good and bad. Good because if it was a big election, I'd have no chance. But because it's a small election, I do have a chance for a variety of reasons. I'm the first one on the ballot. People like to vote the first name. They don't know her. You guys may know her because you may have been in her court, but most people don't know who she is, just like they don't know who I am. So they're just going to vote for the name they like.
Was it?
Huh?
What's your name?
Yvette Chevalier.
It's on the top.
No, who are you running against?
Oh, her name is Judge Leon.
I know Assad. but I
Leon.
don't know.
Huh?
She works downstairs in traffic.
Yeah, she does municipal. I think she does, both traffic and misdemeanors. Yeah. So they don't know her, they don't know me. So it really boils down to if they've been in a court, they may vote for, but maybe not. So it's going to be the lawyers voting, the seniors voting, and then you people out there in the community who have access to a voting location voting. It's that kind of a race. It could go either way. Yes, she did get that, but these 2 strangers got that. So really, if I could come up with an extra 2,500 votes like that lady thinks, I probably could win too.
Most 2 strangers will split that to 4,000.
Yeah, they each got
apiece.
about 4,000 apiece.
So you're in good shape.
Right, because it's only her and I.
Yeah.
So it's going to be that. So, she's got a lot more money than I do, so we'll see. But I'm getting out to meet people, so yes, sir.
I hate to reiterate what I know you've said already, but you would but I just want to ask you again, you would basically reprimand police who continuously brought in people for extremely petty offenses like.
I would reprimand police if their report does not provide, the reason, the probable cause for doing what they did. Every action has to have probable cause. You can't just say, I look at you and I don't like how you look, so I'm going to arrest you. I have to have probable cause. So when I read their report, if their probable cause is weak, if they can't answer why they brought you in, then that's when they would be reprimanded for that, because you got to have probable cause to take up the court's time. You can't just bring in nonsense and keep judges busy processing, things that have no significance. So we're very busy and we're here to provide the people justice, public health and welfare, safety, but not just to, go through stuff for the sake of going through stuff. So that is how I would look at it, is I would read the police report or the arrest warrant or the search warrant and see, what did they come up with? And then see what you say about what happened. And then if I believe that you were picked on because you look a certain way, I'd make that concept known to them.
So you'll be a sentencing judge? Would you be sentencing people to jail time?
I'd have to.
Would you?
For certain circumstances, I'd have to. Like, let's say you have 18 solicitation charges, or let's just use drugs, for example. You come into my courtroom, tweaked out on meth, I want you clean, I'll put you in jail so you get clean. I'm not gonna put you back out on the street to go do more meth. If I had a choice, you came in 5 times and you come in my courtroom all tweaked out, scratching yourself with bumps all over the place, I probably would put you in jail so you forced to get cleaned.
So how would you feel about?
You know why? Because, well, that depends. It depends on who the person is. I'm saying you keep coming in my court. I already sent you to Salvation Army. I already sent you to NA. I already sent you to, some group facility, and you just keep going back on the street, going back on the street. I'm probably going to put you in jail to keep you from further, damaging yourself.
Would you be willing to spend
because
time
that,
yourself in
excuse
jail?
me?
Would you be willing to spend time yourself in a place that you're sentencing people to?
If I did something wrong and I've been convicted 5 or 6 times, yeah.
Just not if you did anything wrong, just what you sending people to, will you be willing to spend time
I've been in
yourself?
those jails. I've been in all of them. Well, High Desert, I've been in the county. I've been down at Mojave. I've seen what they are. And like I just told you, I've been myself in a jail, tied to a wall with chains, like if I was an axe murderer. So, they're not pretty. But if you are somebody who continuously is violating the law and every option has been given to you and you keep doing the same thing over and over, there has to be some sort of, tough love to make you stop. Because if I just send you right back out, the next time you may be dead. So it's not my job to cure you of your addiction, but if you're breaking the law, it's my job to keep you from hurting the public and yourself. Yes, sir.
So what Rodney was getting at is when we had the district court judges in for last fall, the question we always asked them was, if a requirement for the job was that you had to do 30 days in jail, would you do it?
Would I do it? To be, heck yeah.
You got our vote.
Yeah. I do it.
My vote.
I could do
You got our
it.
vote.
I'll read that Bible twice. Oh, yeah. Okay, one more. And then I want to introduce my
Okay.
guest because I also want to give her a little bit of time here.
So what kind of things besides coming to speak to us, are you doing to get that extra 2,000 votes?
Oh, okay. So like last night, I went to that rec center and when I meet people, I give them my little card. I say, are you voting April 7th? Please vote for me. I have a few people knocking on doors. I have, my car is all, decked out with my name. I have like 5 or 6 people with magnets on their cars driving, doing their thing all over the city. I'm going to as many events as I can to, get the word out that I'm running. Every night I move my car to a different spot. Like right now I have a van with my big name on the back of it at the Suncoast in Summerlin. Then later on it goes to the Red Rock. Then later on it goes to the Albertsons. I move it around so people going in and out of those shopping centers see my name. I have some people making some parties for me in the Latino community down by Bonanza and Nellis, because that's a voting area. I'm also having one at the South Point. My African-American friend, Kim Cordy, she's doing a party for me there at the South Point on the 26th, I believe. There's a little band there, and we're going to meet there. I have a party March 20th to meet and greet. I'm inviting people to. So whatever I can. I'm operating on what they call it's a shoe leather campaign. That means put your shoes on and walk, because I don't have a lot of money. Yes.
Well, their group is SPQR for getting votes.
Oh.
And ours is obligations in our classroom project
Oh, wow.
on getting older people, especially adults, to have some education programs. And you said you like to keep people busy. Is there some little programs you like other than traffic school? Are there some programs set up that you could put people in? Or
Well, you mean there's tons of programs through, let's say, the community centers, City of Las Vegas and Clark County Department of Parks and Rec. There's tons of different type of education classes that people can sign up for, and oftentimes they're free or nearly free. So yeah, I think people could pick, I'm going to take this class and go take a self-improvement class, or learn how to, change a tire on a car and take a basic mechanics class, or if they're having problems with personal, take a personal health related class, things that'll help you. There's tons of stuff going on in this community. You just pick up the UNLV, CSN, Clark County, Parks and Rec, City of Las Vegas Parks and Rec. Most of those classes, there's centers all over the city offering different types of classes that people can take fairly cheaply. Yes, sir.
Before you leave, you can give us some of your cards.
Absolutely. Oh, that'd be great. I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm also a corporate. I'm from Castle Garden also. And we tend to know that people with money always win their election. You say you don't have that kind of money. But with what you were saying today seems to be good for the people who come into your court. Are you willing to stand and stay firm on your word? And that way, I'm with SBQR, and we try to get people to vote for people who are going to do their job in office.
I mean, I'm not here just talking BS. No,
And so,
I really mean what I'm saying. Am I going to, I also told him the truth. I can't, the statute says this. I can't make up new law from the bench. But my job is to learn the law and then work with you around the things I can work with. I'm like that. Let me give you an example. I live in an HOA. I'm not allowed to put my banner on my wall. So I put up a tent and hung my banner from my tent. You could still see it. All right. Now, and I want to be a judge, but you know what? People who want to tell me what to do with my own property, if I find a way around it, I'm going to work around it. I'm a lawyer, so that's my job. So I'm like, okay, no problem. I remove the banner and I'll just hang it on one of those pop-up tents and you could still see it, and life is good. They can't tell me I can't hang my little banner on my pop-up shade tent. That's what I did. So I believe that as a judge, the law says this, but then you have this room to work with things. And my job is to find out what I can and can't work with. So I'm not making up new laws from the bench. Yes.
Again, ma'am, I never had the opportunity to speak with an esteemed judge. So my questions are different. I don't have questions regarding a cause, but again, questions regarding curiosity. United States being the greatest country in the world, you being a judge, can you tell me what do you feel is the reason why so many Americans are incarcerated? Why are so many Americans in prison? Since you're a judge and your job is now going to be to yay or nay, what is the reason for this?
Well, I can say that from my understanding, there's a lot of variety of reasons, but I'll give you a few of them. One, oftentimes, I know this to be a fact. My mother had an 8th grade education. My grandma had a 3rd grade education. So if people, and I'm from Puerto Rico, they spoke Spanish, not English. So if you're from a country or from a culture that doesn't teach you what the law is, it's hard for you to know, where do you draw the line? So people, children especially, need to be taught right and wrong. And sometimes people are out working 12-hour shifts at the casino, cleaning rooms. They're not educating their children, their teenagers, their young people on, hey, let's talk about this. What is this about? What are drugs? What is this? What is that? So a lot of times people are just not understanding, parameters of the law, and they break the law for that reason. But ignorance is not an excuse, but that is, a lot of times it's ignorance. A lot of times people have been denied basic food, shelter, and comforts, and they become basically bad because they're rebelling. So they basically have a spirit of, hey, F you. That's how I feel about the world. And those people just like to be bad. They have a spirit in them that's like, you know what? I don't care. I want to be bad. And I don't, they don't want to be good. So you have to want to be good to be good. And, if you want to be bad, there's a lot of ways to be bad. So some people just plain old, don't want to comply. Some of them have a mental problem. They basically have a personality disorder that is antisocial, or it's a oppositional defiant, or a conduct disorder, or something in their brain that's a little bit tweaking the wrong way. And that will throw people off. You know, somebody bipolar that has one day good, one day bad, or this, that, the other, manic. Well, sometimes, you know, you have a bad day and you just take things one step too far. And it has to do with mental illness.
So what I'm hearing is that it's people, it's not the institutions.
Well, people to end up in jail have to do something wrong for the most part. I mean, there's some innocent people in jail, but for the most part, if you're in jail, you did something. Now, why you did that something, you know, matters. But, you know, that's why in trials, if you have a good lawyer, they work on something called mitigating factors. And you could do that in municipal court. Why did you do this? What's going on? You know, and then the solution comes afterwards. So, you know, like you said, jail is a lot more expensive than rehabilitation. My thing is this. I believe not so much, I believe in rehabilitation, but I believe more in teaching people to be resilient.
Why not prevention?
Well, that's what resiliency is. Prevention is resiliency. In other words, you catch people young enough or even old enough. I've changed a lot of things because I have to. So you can teach an old dog new tricks. Go ahead, sir.
Can I ask you, did we get this from you?
Yes, I also, besides being a lawyer, I work at Northwest Career College, and I'm the person that teaches their paralegal studies program. It is a 2-year college degree, and people who have a GED can enroll. And I have Jillian Lopez. She's our placement and coordinator at Missions to speak a little bit about the programs we have there. Because if anybody here has a GED or a high school diploma and finishes this and has the computer skills, because a lot of our stuff is online, or has the desire to get some sort of, you know, an advanced certification beyond what they offer here, you would at least know what we have to offer. So Jillian, go ahead and tell them a little bit about what we have at Northwest.
Hi guys, I probably should have worn my heels. I'm a little short today. So I'm Jillian Lopez. I'm the Director of Career Services at Northwest Career College. So my entire job is trying to help people get into the workplace. So it's really rewarding for me. We're a small school, so I'm fortunate because I really get to know every single one of our students, figure out where you've been, what you want to do, and then help you figure out how to get there. So I have a really great time doing it, and I really love celebrating with people when they get that job that they really want. So I put a lot of heart into it, and so that's why I'm here today to kind of talk to you guys about what programs we have as a way for you guys to enhance your education. So you guys are starting off here, you know, doing the GED, enhancing your computer skills, and what we offer are programs for you to be able to take it to the next level and be able to get into the workforce and start getting your life back on track. We do medical assisting, dental assisting, medical billing, paralegal, and massage therapy. So it's mostly healthcare related fields, but it's a great place to get started. It's a great place to really help people, and I've seen a lot of people change their lives. We have everyone from people just out of high school to people in their 40s who just want to do something different and it's more meaningful. And it's my job to really get you to that point. You guys do what you need to in school to learn what our programs teach you, and then I help coach you on, you know, okay, I have these things in my background. How do I explain them in an interview? You know, what exactly is it that my strengths are and what are my weaknesses? So I help you to kind of package who it is that you are and what's important to you, and then be able to present it to all of our employer partners to help you guys open that door. I work really hard to try to make sure that I am finding that right opportunity for everybody. And I really appreciate the environment at Northwest Career College because it's very employment based and education based also. Just on any level, we want to promote education. So even if you decide not to come and join one of our programs, even if you don't think about us for 1 second after today, I really want you guys to think about education, because education is the next step for being able to take your life to that next level. But you have to have a goal in mind. I went to a really expensive 4-year university in Chicago. I loved it. But when I got to the end of it and they gave me my degree, they just said, okay, bye. Go, you know, enjoy your life, figure it out. And there was no direction. So, you know, you're really reliant on trying to figure it out on your own. And I think that's what the general university system is like right now. At Northwest Career College, everything, your education is with goal. So, you know, you are being trained in order to be job ready for a particular career. And I find that to be really really valuable because it helps give people purpose. You have to have a goal in order to really figure out what resources you need to get from A to B. I try to be a hub for resources, so any barriers that you have. I mentioned transportation earlier. I had to bring that up because that's a big thing that some of our students have issues with. We try to connect them with agencies here in town who can help them with transportation during their education system. We also are federally financially aid. You can get federal financial aid through us for any of our programs. So that's also an option too. College, I know, seems like very expensive for some people, especially if you didn't grow up in a family that promoted education and promoted higher education in college beyond high school. But it is affordable, and there are ways to be able to do it. So we try to, again, connect with those resources that you need in order to really make that next step in your life. Something else I'll mention is that the school's been around for about 18 years. We started as the massage therapy program here in town by a local chiropractor. It's family owned and operated. I will say that's one of the most unique parts of our business is that there are five children who are 5 children of the owner. Each one of them has taken their area and they have run with it. One of them is studying to be a lawyer, one of them studying to be a doctor, one of them studying to be a dentist. And they've chosen to really give back to the school and to the education system to be able to help improve lives and bring their levels of expertise to help people who are looking to take that next step. So I really appreciate the whole vibe there. The energy is great. Everything is about positivity and really trying to help empower all of our students to really get into that workforce and, again, take that next step that they need to in order to make moves in their life that they may have been scared about doing before. So I really appreciate that environment because it provides a good support system, not only while you're in school, but after school too. My whole job is to help our students while they're in school in order to open the door, but then also to be a resource for all of our alumni once you graduate, in case you want to, switch from being front office medical assisting to, what do I need to do to become an office manager in a medical office? So I help you guys try to plan and career track that way as well. So that's kind of my plug. I'm going to open it up to any questions that you guys might have. Yeah, I did pass around a little sheet for you guys to fill out so that I can grab your contact info and also just hear your thoughts about what do you guys think about college in general. I always love hearing what the community thinks about it. So yes, ma'am.
Do you guys take ex-felons?
So that would be something that we would have to talk about. The degree of what exactly happened in your past. We'd have to figure it out and then guide you towards which program would be best for you. For massage therapy, you do have to be licensed in the state of Nevada. So that would probably be a barrier, but I think there are other options that we could guide you towards. And again, it would depend on what your background is and what your point of view is right now. I have some massage therapists who have gone through the program with a record on, they had a previous record. They were granted a license, a provisional license. They had to go before the board and explain themselves. So again, we would help you to, work through that process. And that ended up not being the reason why he didn't get hired anywhere. It had nothing to do with his background. I had many employers do background checks. I worked with him in order to open doors. And it ended up being his attitude at the end of the day, where he was so hung up about people judging him for this background that he had, that it was affecting his massage. And massage is very energy based, so they could just feel it. So that would be something that I would help you with too, is we would really have to figure out how to get you to a positive level for interviewing as well, and make sure that you're feeling centered and feeling good and feeling confident about this next step too. I'd say that is probably the biggest barrier as opposed to your record, to be honest. Yeah. Oh, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people that don't have a GED or going to school for it, they can still apply.
So you have to, all of our programs require you to have already passed the GED. You guys are studying for it right now. We are a testing center. So, if that was something you were interested in, that's an option for you guys. If you guys can test here, test there. I'm going to give you guys my business card. So if you do get to that point where you're ready to take that next step, get in contact with me. We'll get you on campus for a tour. We'll do everything and try to figure out if it's the right option for you. And what was your name?
Margaret.
Margaret. Nice to meet you. Yes, sir.
Are all of the programs that you have listed, are they all 2-year programs?
No, so paralegal is going to be our longest program, and that's also our highest degree granting program. It's an associate's degree, and Yvette is our program chair for that. The other programs are certificate programs. So for medical assisting, that's going to be an 8 to 9 month program, which includes a clinical externship where you do like a working interview in a medical office. So all of our programs have that. Dental assisting, that's going to be about a 6 to 7 month program. The medical insurance specialist, which is billing and coding, is going to be 6 to 7 months. And then the final one is going to be massage therapy, and that's an 18-month program, so about a year and a half. Yes.
So will credits from a previous four-year institution transfer towards like your associate program?
We do accept transfer credits, yes.
For the core classes, for the paralegal degree.
Yeah, for all of the general education requirements. Yeah, exactly.
What was
for the medical assistant?
For medical assisting, for the length of the program, it's 8 to 9 months. Yes. And what was your name?
Robert McLean.
Robert. Nice
And
to
how
meet
much
you.
of the paralegal associate degree, how much of that is, how many credits of that, or what percentage of credits of that is, you know, your general education, things like a language requirement,
Right. That's a good question. I mean, I know that an associate's degree program is equivalent to 2 years.
You have,
a four-year
I'll tell
university.
you have 2 English 101, English 102, Math 101, Algebra Math 102. You have U.S. government, and you have a Nevada law, a law and ethics type class. So basically, 6 of those classes are core classes that any college would require you to take, just like any
So if you have
college.
3 of those already from an accredited institution,
They
on a
would accept
transcript, those would be accepted, and you then
Yes.
just would have 3 core classes to take to finish?
Yes, absolutely.
You
Yes.
say you charge, there's no charge for this college?
There is tuition.
Okay,
You
tuition.
can get funding through a lot of the state
I
agencies.
understand, yeah.
Yep, that there is tuition, and there is federal financial aid if you wanted to
Yeah.
apply for that as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there are students who apply for federal financial aid and have to pay very little, if anything, out of pocket. Some don't pay a penny. If you qualify, if you haven't previously like defaulted or taken out financial aid in the past and then not finished your college studies, then many people who are low income would qualify for financial aid. You know, but you got to be ready to do this. You don't want to just do it. I recommend if you're here, you get through, because the computer skills is like key. If you're not competent on a computer, it's very difficult, at least in the paralegal studies, to do anything, because paralegals do 90% of their work on a computer. So if you don't feel comfortable typing and, you know, using Word and that kind of stuff,
sorry, that's annoying.
it's going to be really hard to be a good paralegal that gets paid well. But what's nice is we're one of the few degree granting programs for paralegal studies where you could say, I got a college degree. And we do a lot of voc rehab. People, let's say, that worked in construction and got injured. I have one student right now who's at the North Las Vegas city attorney's office. He had his fingers cut off in an accident.
Wow.
And, you know, now but here's the amazing thing. The guy came in typing 20 words a minute. And again, he's like this, right? He's got these, but, oh no, it's the right hand. And he's a righty. So, right? He's now typing 52 words a minute at the end of his program
Yep, and
with
he's-
just 2 fingers. So
And he's doing his externship at the
There's
North
Brett.
Las Vegas City Attorney's
Oh.
Office. So that young man, I really love him.
yeah. So yeah.
So, I mean, basically what I'm just trying to communicate with you guys is that there are options out there. Again, if Northwest is it, great. We would love to see you there. But I would say be thinking about what is it that you want to do? Like what do you want to do? I feel like there are a lot of people who don't know that. And you go through life thinking that you're going to figure it out and you don't. So you have to commit to something. Just come up with a goal, even if it's a small one, you know, even if it's not, you know, going back to school or something like that. Say I'm gonna take another class. I'm gonna, you know, learn something. I'm gonna learn a new language or something. You have to start somewhere and then just build off of that. So that's what I would really like for you guys to take away from me being here is just push yourself to just do something, because you guys can do a lot. And one of the things I've seen with all of our students is there are some people who have achieved things that they didn't think they were going to. I've had students who say, I'm not going to get through this program. I'm going to quit. And they try to quit about 4 or 5 times. And then they get hired off of their externship at the end, and they're working right after they graduate. And those are my favorite stories, because I really feel like, again, my job is very meaningful when I'm able to help people really get to that next step and change their lives. So if you guys want to be a part of that, let me know. I'm going to give you guys my contact info. And then when you guys are ready, I just need you to be willing to learn, excited about new opportunities, and patient with yourself. I would say that's a big thing too. So you have to be patient with yourself because you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you're not going to know everything right away. And you just really have to take things one step at a time. And we try to be there in order to help support you guys through that. So.
And, college is not for everybody, right? But not to discourage you, but I'll just say that there's a lot of people with college degrees that are unemployed. So the real deal is skills. It's not a degree, it's skills. There's millions and millions of people with a bachelor's degree that are not employed or not working in the field they studied in because it's about skills. So we are a vocational college, and I can vouch and say that they bend over backwards to really keep people in the college and to really help them get through it. But then again, only you know what you would like to do or what you're good at. It's not even what you would like to do, because I'd like to, there's a lot of things I want to do. I like basketball, but I'm only 4'11", right? So there's a lot of things I would like to do, but what am I good at? And that is what you guys need to determine. Everybody here has some little gift. And if you could figure out what you're good at and then be happy doing whatever it is you're doing, you can live out the rest of your life in harmony, being happy. Everybody's good at something. You either art or painting or with your hands or building things or fixing things or writing or whatever it is. What are you good at? And when you can answer that question, then you could be in a good position to set your goals in the future. Why am I doing the judge thing? Because I think I'd be good at it. There's no bigger honor than taking your law degree and taking it to the next level. I could sell legal services, but as a judge, I can actually help people too. And it's an honor. That's why they call them your honor. Do I want that? Yeah, I worked hard my whole life. Like I said, I've been on the street since I'm 13 years old. It wasn't easy for me to get to where I'm at. So yes, I would like that. I had to work really hard. It would be awesome to be a judge. But even if I lose, I'm not going to sit home crying about it. I'm going to wake up the next day and come up with plan B. So I don't intend to lose, but I will come up with plan B if I do lose. So it's all about resiliency, bouncing back, moving forward. That's what prevention is all about, is, you learn to bounce back. We all fall. Every day people fall, and you get up and you bounce back. The only difference is when you bounce back, are you satisfying your life? Are you satisfying your goals, your heart, your skills? Are you honoring yourself? And until you don't, many of us go through life not knowing what we're good at. So I urge you, if there's one thing that you could do, is try to sit down and really think about what are you good at and move forward with something that includes that, because that's the best bet for success.
I think a lot of times too, you've got to just try stuff. You don't know what you're good at. Sometimes you need someone else to tell you what you're good at. So try to interact with as many people as possible, do new things, join new groups. Referrals and word of mouth is the #1 way to get an opportunity. It's not necessarily how good you are at something. If you can't present it, and if you don't have somebody, helping somebody to really frame your skills for somebody else, then you may be passed out for that position. So that's something that we do at our school also, is we really try to get to know you guys really well so that we know what you're good at. And then we give you that letter of recommendation and that referral that can help you get into different industries that maybe you thought you couldn't get into before. So I would say that's really important too.
All right, guys.
All right.
Let's give them a
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
SPQR, that, and make sure we can help.
Let me go to my car.
Would you guys mind passing these down to the end, or actually I can come pick them up so I can give you guys. Thanks.